I'm not sure who muted my microphone or why it muted, but a very fine day here in Mexico. I arrived in Tulum last night to escape the fact that we had no air conditioning for the last week in Bacalar at the hub. And no sooner did the engineers come in and fix the air conditioning, I was changing my shirt literally between 5 and 6 times a day. After every meeting, I would be drenched. But it's done wonders to my body. I've literally had saunas, 14 hours of sauna a day for the last couple of weeks. Bottom line is that as soon as the engineers came in and fixed the air conditioning, the internet went down. So I had to then pile into the vehicle and drive all the way down here to Tulum, check into a place last night. The moment I checked in, tried to call up my production notes to get ready for today. Blackout in the whole of Tulum. Great. We had 4 blackouts last night consecutively. So I fell asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning in the dark in a strange Airbnb, and then woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning when all the lights came on. You know how it is. So a bit of a discombobulation for me, but I am thrilled today to be introducing the 58th Lazarus Symposium. And I'm even more thrilled to be bringing in the NXE, New Earth X core development team. This is the tip of the spear. So there's a very large team. It's an international team. And there are a lot of people I would be highlighting and thanking for the works that they're contributing and continue to contribute to the New Earth Exchange, the New Earth Commodities, the New Earth Crypto Bank, the New Earth Fiat Bank that we're developing, the whole gamut of this extraordinary parallel economic and financial system, which we have been working on for years, which we just unveiled a couple of weeks ago. Since we unveiled, we have been trying to catch up with the interest. So huge influx of interest, not limited to just thousands and thousands of happy, ebullient, positive human beings, desperately grateful for what we've pioneered and understanding as they do, being my audience, being somewhat enlightened, and on the tip of the spear of paradigmatic shift and understanding truth and disclosure, understanding the satanic fuckery that's been going on in the civilizational basement. So I'm speaking to the converted when I'm speaking to the Lazarus community and the thousands of you out there watching this broadcast. I'm aware of that. But the fact of the matter is that the inordinate amount of interest coming into us from around the world is staggering, and we're staying ahead of it. We're staying on top of it. Within a couple of days of launching the New Earth Ghost Wallet, we a campaign. Of course, we did a very soft launch. We have done no hard launching. I put nothing out on social media. I'm not talking it up in social media. I don't need to. It's a self-fulfilling, self-realizing phenomenon. The New Earth Ghost Wallet, the New Earth Exchange, the New Earth NXE coin, and so on and so forth, is designed organically to become the zero-point economy, the true cost economics basis. But I can tell you we've got a commodities arena and a trading arena connected to our exchange. It is formidable. We are dealing in billions, and actually, let me be honest, we're dealing in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of collaterals connecting to the exchange. So that is not a joke. That is not made up language. That's the way it stands. Now, I will say this as well, and I will say this in the same tone that I launched the World Health Sovereignty Summit in 2019 in midsummer in Bali, Indonesia, with the King of Kings there seated in his throne, actually to the side of the stage, when I had Del Bigtree next to me, His Grace Ria Abuela Sal, Bishop of Jerusalem, and Dr. Robert O. Young, who is still languishing in a prison cell in the United States right now, and others, Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, Jim Humble, some extraordinary folks had come in. Obviously, Jeffrey Smith in GMO, Dane Widgington in Geoengineering, many others joined the World Health Sovereignty Summit and its attendant International Tribunal Judicial Commission of Inquiry into weaponization of the biosphere that we called out 6 months before anyone had even heard of COVID or of Wuhan. Okay, we called it out. I leant into the cameras on that day. And I said to the military intelligence shadow cabal, called out the motherfuckers and said, come at us, because we are literally shedding light upon you. We are looking at you, looking at us, looking at you. and we hold the grace point of God. We are the children of God, and you should be very afraid in your sweltering little Sabbatean cloisters, because time out. We've learned, the planet has learned in the last 5 years about that dialectic, about that invisible mastery, about the treachery of the invisible masters, the deep state, the so-called cabal. We could go on. The point I'm trying to make in this equation is a very simple point. The point is that we are now on the front foot. We have already overturned the tables of the moneylenders. It is already done. We are reclaiming the source code from the kingdom of the devil and converting that source code into prosperity and abundance, which is exactly what needs to happen. That is how we reclaim autonomy, sovereignty. We are dealing now with sovereign kingdoms all around the world. Pay attention. Again, you black hat motherfuckers, pay attention. It's already done. So you can try to introduce your draft legislations. You can try and enforce policy infractions against the living. It will fail. By the grace of God, everything we are doing here to fight the financial satanic system and Saturnian system is an act of love, an act of peace, because we are the fellowship of man. And all of the scientists popping and dropping really doesn't put any fear into any of us. Doesn't put any fear into any of us. New Earth X. X marks the spot, and the spot is the here and now, and is the Christed ones, the ones who stand in pure truth and right action, and who will inherit the earth, because we are indeed the meek. And as I've said 1,001 times, the meek are as bold as lions. So whoever out there is behind or was behind the black notices coming at some of my team around the world, threatening us, death threats and all the rest of it, it is of no consequence whatsoever. We are on to you. Our hacking capability is way ahead of yours. So just be marked. That's all. X marks the spot. And again, we are the Christed ones. We've arrived. The meek inherit the earth. And I want to introduce now to the hallowed audience of Lazarus Symposium, the core team. Gideon van der Skeef. Gideon, thank you for joining us from the tip of Southern Africa. Happy to see you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you, Sacha.
Very good. I want to also bring in Johan Swanepoel. Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
Good on you, Sacha. Thank you for having us here tonight.
Very good. And let me also bring in Johnny Komsa. Okay,
hi, Sacha.
So again, guys, you know, we've got 3 Johans in our core team, but for present purposes, Gideon, Joe, and Johnny. This is the genius crew in the basement. Again, we have got people in America, people in Europe, people a lot in Asia, and a hell of a lot in Africa. We've got a lot of muscle. We've got a lot of economists. We've got traders, some of the top traders in the world. We've got a lot of military folks and intelligence people in our ranks and ring fencing our activities. We have sovereign kingdoms of tens, scores of millions of people. Okay, so what we're playing forward, friends, is, as I think, paradigm shifting as it possibly gets. We've had a very challenging couple of years building out the framework and the apparatus, but just Gideon, just give us a minute, your reflections on New Earth Exchange, New Earth X, the paradigm that we're unveiling here in economics.
Thank you, Sacha. Yes, the process that we've been following has just exploded into the stratosphere, and the feedback that we are getting is so good. There is a great movement that's taken place, and people can see exactly where we are and everything that we are doing. The real world assetization and tokenization needs to happen. That's where we are moving towards, and we've done this. People are still trying to figure out the process and what to do. We've done it. The platform is working so well. A lot of tests and things have gone into this. Joe and the team's working 24-hour shifts to ensure that everything is running smoothly. So thank you for everybody and all the assistance that everyone is giving, because without you, this wouldn't have been possible just to explode the way it did.
Indeed. And the influencer campaigns, select influencer campaigns, let's say, are keying off actually tomorrow, I believe, or Saturday on the 1st. I don't know if there's 30 days in this month or 31. But that's very exciting. So it's all done. So the good news here is that no matter what happens, this is moving unabated and will continue unabated. And we've set that legacy agenda in play sufficiently now. I believe that it will just continue unabated. So very, very exciting. Obviously, we're watching very closely what's happening in the so-called real world with the statutory and policy making that's going on, trying to again move against this emancipation that's happening with humanity in the sovereign banking, autonomous economics arena, the kind of ghost wallets, cold wallets, ghost wallets, crypto this, crypto that. Obviously, this is the gravest existential threat to the parent corporation. We all understand that. Good people inside the parent corporation understand that. And good people inside the parent corporation want no part of continued wage slavery and indentureship of humanity. So the tide is actually turning at the macro level. It's not even as though we have to plant dynamite in the basement. We don't even need to do that. Like I said, everything we do is an act of peace now. We simply affirm, expand, create, and lean into right action and pure truth. We don't need to worry about fencing and defending and posturing and all of that. So we're in a very wonderful position. The world has really grown up since the era of COVID because the world has more or less seen how that's played out, and how when we acquiesce to statutory infractions against basic civil liberties, when we cave in and go onto the back foot, that is when we grant permissions to the devil. And that is no longer a part of the play forward. So let's look at some of the questions here, guys. What are the first steps to begin engaging with the New Earth Exchange? I think that's probably a good question. I'd like to just quickly pull up, guys, answer the question here. The Ghost Wallet is step one as far as we are concerned. I don't know why we don't have a QR code up here, but if we do, Christy, now is the time to put that slide there. Yeah, on top of, okay, gotcha, thank you, I apologize. So that's the Ghost Wallet. Joe, Swanee, please walk us through this.
Yes, so the Ghost Wallet is the entry point to the whole system. It's a self-custody wallet. It's got a 7-layered security system attached to it. It's also the first self-custody wallet of its kind, whereby it's completely offline. So that puts you in 100% privacy and control of your keys that you generate for the first time. You don't receive it with any wallet on it. So it's one of the safest self-custody wallets out there. Now, this wallet also has attached a virtual Visa card that you can attach to it, that's being produced by the New Earth X site. And that card is USDT backed. So you can basically spend crypto in a fiat manner on a daily basis, doing your shopping, doing your fuel, whether it's hotels, bookings, flights, arrangements, or just daily expenditure. You can use that card, virtual card, in that sense. So what you do is you add it to your Google Pay or Apple Pay, and you can tap away. That's what they say. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what else. The wallet also has exchange in it, so you can also exchange within the wallet at 0.04% transfer fees, which is the cheapest in the market currently, which allows you to swap from any chain to any chain. So that's also been integrated into the wallet, so it's an all-in-one system.
Right. So that's a thumb drive.
And spinning.
It's a thumb drive that you get. It is biometric. It has got multiple layers of security. Only your thumbprint will activate it. But you can, when you are entering the New Earth Exchange or the New Earth X through the Ghost Wallet, you can designate your lawyer or your husband or your wife or your heir and successor to also have access with their fingerprint, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Very good. Well, that's self-explanatory. So step number one is to onboard with the Ghost Wallet and get the Visa rails that come with it. And that's the first point of entry. Once you're in, you're able to enter into the universe that we've created, the exchange. Gideon, just speak very briefly to what the New Earth Exchange is, please. And Johnny, you can also jump in, correct, if you need to, or Joe.
Thank you, Sacha. So the exchange is the exchange of real-world assets between assets and tokens. So that's where there are assets that you can invest into, and then these are backed by the NXE coin. So the NXE coin is a stable, real-world asset backing, and the assets that we do have, that is commodities and things that we look at, and we do full due diligence processes and valuations on it to ensure that that asset has a growth potential, so that it feeds back to the NXE as a stable environment. There's no volatility, there's no risk, and we mitigate as much of any issues that might arise up front before we publish anything. So the exchange, you need to visit it, create an account, go into your wallets, look at what the wallets are. Everything is self-explanatory with all legal documentations and things that's also loaded onto the system.
Very good. Okay, friends, stand by for a very small informational.
The future of value. Welcome to New Earth X, where real-world assets meet sovereign technology. At the heart of this movement is NXE, a powerful token backed by tangible, verifiable real-world assets. And that is just the beginning of the New Earth Exchange. Imagine vast, sustainable hemp farms stretching across fertile lands. These regenerative crops are tokenized commodities that form a strong foundation for the NXE ecosystem. Physical developments are directly connected to the NXE token through advanced Oracle technology, ensuring every structure strengthens the token's backing. Further strengthening NXE are reserves of gold, silver, and diamonds, timeless symbols of wealth and stability. All of this is safeguarded by the New Earth Sovereignty Crypto Bank, a trusted institution designed for true financial independence and transparency. This creates a token that is not just digital, it is deeply rooted in real assets and real utility. New Earth X is more than an exchange. It is a movement towards sovereignty and abundance. Join the New Earth movement. Discover NXE, the token backed by the Earth itself. New Earth Exchange. From scarcity to sovereignty.
Thank you. And just to underscore what that means, one, everyone who thinks that what we're doing is sensational and dangerous and all the rest of it, just consider the role you're playing in your own life. We are not able to move freely, unmolested in this world. We are being indentured, enslaved at every single turn. Every single time you pay for anything, you are being fleeced, harvested. That is illicit, immoral, illegal, unlawful, lawless in God's law, universal law, man's law, every form of law other than the statutory law dreamt up by technocrats and bureaucrats in order to serve a blood economy, a war economy. Don't start me on the subject. But the point being, the simple business of reclaiming your own ability to move unmolested and start to transact. Every time you transact, a micro dividend goes back into your wallet and into the wallet of the treasury that you're building. If it's a movement, if it's a veterans association, if it is a child trafficking charity, whatever it is, this is the Commonwealth. We determine now how we move forward, and jurisdictions are changing. They are shifting at a monumental level. Good people in Washington know that. Good people in Mar-a-Lago and in the White House know that. Good people in the Kremlin know that. Good people in the People's Assembly in China know that. Good people in Brussels even. Satan Central, the European Central Bankster Union. Good people in that portal, an institution, also know that. So we are reclaiming, in that sense, the world. How does one move funds from a traditional bank account into the system that we are developing? Gideon, speak to that, and or Joe.
I'll hand this over to Joe. He's the wallet guru.
Yes. Sorry, I actually didn't catch it on, so I was busy answering someone in the comments here.
Okay, yeah, your best not to. Just focus on the broadcast, not forget the comments. He's in the green room doing that. Otherwise, we'll fall over.
Oh, okay.
How does
Yes.
one move funds from a traditional bank account into the system that we are developing?
Okay, so obviously when it comes to the wallet, that will be conversion to crypto. So there will be on-ramping involved there to take it into crypto so that you can spend it via your Visa card. As the Visa card's USDT backed. The banking itself system will have a fiat account attached to the banking with the crypto accounts, whereby you can do transact to straightforward to via wire transfer, and you will then be able to on-ramp it to crypto and off-ramp back to fiat again if you need to pay someone else as well anywhere in the world into any bank account. So it gives you basically a bit of both worlds to use. And also this doesn't include biometrics or anything. So again, it's kept at a very, very low private sector where you can keep your transactions private.
Very good. So will there be guided support or step-by-step onboarding for new users?
Yes, we are actually all three in here, all four of us actually are busy with getting some live podcasts as we're doing now, where we'll be answering questions, giving guidance, some education. We'll also do some crypto education. Because the one thing about the wallet that we actually had a very interesting conversation just now with a previous meeting, where we just pointed out that you can, in fact, due to the wallet's low transaction fees in exchanging with cryptos from one chain to another, is at 0.04% within the wallet. That allows you to do your own staking. So you can actually now go and stake into Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and take that profits and transfer it out. Because of the low transaction fees, it doesn't touch your profit so much. So you can actually now do that staking yourself and take the profits and put it in your Visa card and use it for expenditure you didn't have, which is a gain now. So there's a lot of functions in this wallet, actually, that in this whole system that we haven't even realized that we're catching up on now.
Very good. I've got to get to 100 questions. So let's just rapid fire 30-second answers if we can. But that was really helpful, Joe. Thank you. So how does the Ghost wallet function within the NXE system in the simplest terms?
Well, the NXE system is available via your Ghost wallet to add your NXE token, coin, and trade with it.
Okay.
And trade with it.
Right. What makes it different from other wallets and certainly from cold wallets currently available?
The fact that it's 100% offline completely, and also that your first wallet is generated by you, and it is also 100% private. There is no database, no service connected to it whatsoever.
What's the thinking?
Integrated with your Visa card.
Right.
Sorry,
what's the thinking behind its design, including digital-only access?
The thinking about it was to take things off and make it decentralized, and actually opening up the market for investment purposes into your own economy, into your own ecosystem.
Okay, last baiting question. What does the name Ghost Wallet represent in this context?
Privacy.
Absolute security and privacy.
There you go.
And not under surveillance. Impossible to surveil.
Possible to surveil. It's you can't freeze it, can't get frozen. No one has access to it but you.
Okay, identity, security, and access. How does NXE approach identity verification while respecting privacy and autonomy?
That's one for Gideon.
Oh, okay. So it's on the wallet side, I think the main process is that it's a full. There's no KYCs and things required, so that is fully private. And then your information that you fill in is only captured for email purposes, and then also just notifications. Other than that, there's no real-time data being stored of yourself in the wallet system.
Very good.
I can add to that. Sorry, quickly, just a quick one. Via the wallet and the NXE platform, there is no KYC. Only KYC that we're basically doing is just the email and the password. That's it.
Okay, very good. What options exist for those who may not be comfortable with biometric systems?
2FA. So you can have a 2FA as well, except if you don't want to do biometrics.
Two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication.
Two-factor.
But do note that the biometrics that's on the wallet is not for storage use. It's being put in a JSON acquire files just for your backup, so that only your face can back up your file and import it again.
How is account access managed across different life scenarios or shared responsibilities?
That's a difficult one.
Okay, we can come back to that. That sounds very
That
abstract.
doesn't apply to the wallet, actually.
Right. I think that's a question for once for midsummer. Once we've launched unleashed the full system, how is account access managed across different life scenarios or shared responsibilities?
Sorry, I'm just losing some signal over here.
Yeah, we would have to have, actually that question would also need to be refined, frankly, because it's very, very nebulous. What safeguards are in place to protect user assets and transactions?
Well, the fact that it's offline completely, nobody has access to it besides you as the owner, and that also due to the 7-layered security that's on this wallet. So nobody can actually access anything besides you.
Okay. Technology and structure. How is NXE structured from a technological standpoint to the layman's ears?
To smart contracts and really massive interfaces and due diligences that's constantly put into this NXE. So it's not just a coin.
Okay. Does it function as a token and exchange or a hybrid model? Well, it's all things to all men, but speak to that. Does it function as a token, an exchange, or a hybrid model?
Hybrid model,
a hybrid
definitely.
model.
Yeah,
definitely a hybrid model. It's the token is the currency that's being used, but it's also got the valuation that's built into it through the assetization of real world assets. So with that, that's a full-on hybrid system.
How does it interact with existing blockchain infrastructure?
And yeah, it's everything
via
is built
smart
on
contracts.
Smart contracts. Yeah,
via smart. The exchange is interacting via smart contracts, which is very strict smart contracts, in fact. And then obviously the wallet is on a hashed signature basis.
And what ensures transparency, integrity, and long-term sustainability across the system?
The backing of real world assets. We are, like I said, we are not a volatile coin. It's not a volatile system. It is, we've building up physical assets that is real world asset backing into this currency, into this entire ecosystem. So there's nothing that can just suddenly drop or change or be affected by third parties.
Right, which is huge consideration. You were mentioning to the team early today in a call that I was privy to, a video call, you were mentioning that your function personally for the next couple of weeks with your team in your office is to focus on the listings on the exchange, because and again, everything that lists on the exchange and moves forward becomes more of that collateral pool, of that real world asset pool backing the economy. But that's a huge task ahead of you, given that you've got
It is.
many projects, but I heard someone mention the number $300 billion worth of projects, something like that.
Yeah, it's far-reaching, over 300 billion already, and we need to go into each and every project and take out the importance of what the project and what the asset is that's sitting in it. And then we have to do valuations, we have to do financial planning, we have to do rollout models, we have to get the correct people on board to actually do the work, if it's a new project that's being built, if it's a residential, commercial, retail, if it's gold commodities, we have to look at the certification of it. So it's a real big task. So it's this, we ensure that everything that we bring onto the platform has been really thoroughly due diligent.
Very good. Okay, so value, liquidity, and use. How are assets within NXE valued and verified?
So each and every jurisdiction have the normal statutes that needs to be followed. So we've got legal bases that we need to look at. But then we also have, in those jurisdictions, we have auditors. That is financial auditors that will then also review the assets. And then if it's a physical asset like a building or something, then that is being reviewed every 3 months. Commodities is being reviewed on a minute-by-minute basis from the markets that it is based upon. And then also, if we're looking at livestocking or agriculture, that is based on different incrementals that has a play on that.
Okay, so how can users move assets in and out of the ecosystem?
by contacting us, and then we can start getting people in your jurisdiction to do the valuation, and we look at what the jurisdictional bylaws are, and then we can bring that onto the system from there.
So you're saying somebody that's got a dairy farm with 10,000 heads of cattle in Wyoming wants to tokenize, assetize their business, their land, their holdings, their whatever. That's a simple ask.
Yeah, it's definitely simple. We look at, if it's livestock, we look at per cattle we can tokenize, and then that token falls into a group of your special purpose vehicle. That special purpose vehicle then receives funding from the New Earth X, and then that builds up into the NXE and builds the value of the NXE for the people that's investing into all of these commodities.
What about somebody who's just inherited a land portfolio? They don't want to spend the rest of their life managing an inherited land portfolio, but they want to consolidate that into something that's tangible. How does that play?
So we look at the asset itself. What's the value behind it? If it's just a land holding, there's a definite value to that, and we can look at is there carbon credits that we can do from it? Is it farming that we can add onto it to increase the value for the NXE? Now, that's a business model that we create for each and every person to take it further. It doesn't have to be developed. Some places can just lie still. We've got in Mexico, there's areas that we want to just keep safe. So just by investing that through the NXE into that area, we can put up security fences, we can put up security guards, because it's a agricultural holding. It's a biotech, environment that we need to protect in that space.
Very good. What options exist for spending, transferring, or utilizing holdings?
So is this now based on the question can either be from the wallet side or the NXE side, but so the NXE, once you've invested through into the NXE, that then can be used and transferred through the wallet system, through the trade platform into any other crypto. It can be used on your Visa card. So as soon as you've got a value, you can resell that onwards, like a normal type of solution in the crypto industry. So if you've got a value increase, which we already have, that value increase then gives you that time period to sell it on to another person. So that's how the value within the system is derived, because your value increases and then you can go and sell that coin off to somebody else, and you can use it into fiat currency, Bitcoin. You can exchange it however you want to.
Very good. Okay, let's go back to this. How does NXE integrate with existing payment systems, Joe?
Well, NXE, as from the bank module, will be integrated via a bank account that you do get with your accounts, obviously, which is a fiat account that is tradable or interactable with any bank account in the world, as any normal bank account, as it is a normal bank account. And then furthermore, the crypto side obviously is just by crypto. So,
okay. Right. Vision and purpose. What is the guiding philosophy behind NXE? Well, let me just say that NXE is N for new, E for earth, and X marks the spot in the middle. It is the indivisible line between the old paradigm and the new paradigm. So NXE represents totemistically and energetically, and dare I say it, spiritually, defines that indivisible line between the old Atlantean model and this new paradigm, 0 point true cost economics paradigm that we are now moving into consciously. So that for me is critical in the optics, but that's the guiding philosophy behind NXE, is to act as the bridge. You know, to use a biblical, an apocryphal story, you can think in terms of the parting of the Red Sea. I'm not suggesting that we're Moses, but I am suggesting that we're Moses. And you can make of that what you will. But this is parting of the Red Sea. This is how, in a sense, the escape from Sodom and Gomorrah happens. Really think in those terms, friends. because the alternative is waking up one fine day, and it could be a very, very soon date in the calendar, when somebody somewhere at NSA, Pentagon, Brussels, level have hit that reset button, which let's face it, we all know that the invisible masters have been working feverishly behind all of the different calamities and catastrophes and orchestrated wars and whatever, the fog of war, been working in order to create the next tracking system for when this Babylonian edifice collapses. They want to be controlling the tracking system upon which it falls to take us forward into another transhumanist, smart city controlled, macro controlled agenda. We all know that, all right? So essentially, that's who and what we are. We represent the new track system that has already been developed, that is already in compliance in that sense with the kingdom of the devil. And you can now jump onto the tram lines, and we take you out of the kingdom of the devil. So that's essentially the mission, the vision, and the purpose from my perspective. Gideon, I want you to answer from your perspective. What is the guiding philosophy behind NXC?
It is also to focus on the people, taking power back to the people. We've all just been in this circle of just working, and all of our finances that we are working blood, sweat, and tears for goes just back into the system. There's nothing that really comes back to us. And that's what our core development has been, is to develop something that will give back and ensure that the communities that is also in disarray and needs uplifting, that we can provide that change. It's a real big focus for us to bring communities and people back to where we should be, and not just answer back to the people, what Sacha always call the what do you call them? The banking systems. I know there's always a word that you use. Caesar.
Oh yes, rendering coin unto Caesar.
Yes, yeah. You always have such nice ways to say it. Us South African people don't always have that the finesse.
So okay, how does our platform, the NXC New Earth Exchange platform, how does this platform support both individual sovereignty and a collective progress and upshift? I mean, I could speak to that piece for an hour, but guys, what is it?
On the wallet side, that is your individual sovereignty. That's where you can have your finances separate from anything. And then ecosystem sovereignty is on the NXE. That's where when you invest into things, that is investing into an ecosystem that is sovereign, that we will be able to create this zero-point economy, create this ecosystem where we can have just people being people again.
Very good. Johnny, Joe, do you want to add any of that?
Yes, yeah. Look, I think that the wallet is actually, sovereignty is the word, but control is the main word, privacy and control.
Right.
That's putting a bank in your pocket, and you have your own bank and you run your own systems. And that's the most important part of it all.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, so in what ways does NXE represent a shift beyond traditional financial systems? I'm sorry, but that's such a dumb fucking question. No disrespect, but please, in what ways does NXE represent a shift beyond traditional financial systems? We've just been through every possible inflection point that describes a paradigmatic shift. So I'm not going to insult my team by asking them such a daft question. But any other questions coming in here? Let's just look. He said, sticking on his spectacles. Okay, so a whole lot of love coming through here. Christy has starred 14 questions. This is good. I like this one. Okay, Stephanie is asking, for a married couple, how is the usage and security of the wallet transferred to the spouse in the event of death? Joe, you've got the floor.
Yes, so there you can add multiple users to your wallet on the biometric side. So it's not just that you can only be you. So you can add multiple fingerprints to it, and you can also have multiple access. You can also, if you don't want to, have your backup with your will orchestrator, and obviously after death, then that will be carried to your partner. but more than one person can have access to this wallet. So it is controllable in that sense.
Thank you, Joe. You're on mute, Sacha.
I apologize. The door was, the alarm was making a noise. Okay, very good. So thank you for that. Next question. Did you want to add to that at all, Gideon?
No. Joe explained that very well.
Okay, so next question is from Diana Brownston. When will we get our affiliate link to post it?
Okay, so the affiliates was an application. All that applications is currently in the database. We are in process of running through them. So there will be a mail sent out to each and individual person with a short few questions. And based off that, then obviously the approvals will start to go through and you'll get your links and will be shared out.
Okay, now a uniquely pointed question, guys, given what our last couple of weeks has, we've been attending to in terms of in the basement. Will this protect us in South Africa from the government that wants to confiscate our crypto and assets?
I can answer that. I'm in this country mentioned, and I am using my wallet. I'm using a wallet, and I'm using it in my own discrete. The ghost wallet is a ghost wallet. If you have a wallet, doesn't matter whether it's a ghost wallet or any wallet for that matter, and you keep it private, up to you. That's your. If you declare it, that's your stupidity. This law that they're trying to bring in my honest opinion, is a disgrace. It's something that won't stick. I don't think it's gonna sit here for for a long time. And unfortunately, it's not something that I will buy to, because crypto is not something that they can buy assets on. It won't work like that.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more with you. But as we were saying, my sense of it is that there is an attempt to conduct a litmus test in South Africa, because there's a certain level of, let's say, technocratic compliance with a certain aspect of the globalist agenda that is happening in South Africa in a way that is not happening elsewhere. Talk about some hand up some arse and puppeteering. That's going on at a spooky level in Southern Africa. Why? Well, obviously South Africa is the kind of apex of the economy of Africa. Africa is the apex of and the cornerstone of the planet. And obviously that's what's going on. There are serious elements and vested interests that are seeking to conduct the next phase control through South Africa. And so the capacity to click heels and be compliant in South Africa, in the parliament, in the congresses, in the assemblies, it's a dichotomy, because on the one hand, the bureaucrat, technocrat, fictitious elements within government institutions that are all operating in the false light jurisdictions, which we all understand here, they are clicking their heels and being fully compliant to the statutory nonsense. And even if they know it moves against humanity, they're clicking heels and moving ahead with that agenda, to promulgate that agenda. On the other hand, in the same sacred soil is the upshift and the uprising now happening amongst the indigenous peoples and amongst the sovereign kingdoms, right? So it's a fantastic playground that we're seeing. If we understand the geometry of life, the dialectic as it's playing out in Southern Africa is a redemption and resurrection of the hereditary leadership and the hundreds of millions of souls that represents, in contrast to the attempts by the draconian, Saturnian, Atlantean system trying to defend the indefensible position that it's trying to create. So that's what's going on, friends. No surprises there. Next question. Shouldn't we be avoiding Apple Pay, Google Pay, Face ID biometrics? Now, this is a really good question, Jenny. It's a really good question, and it also touches a raw nerve with me, with my team, because we're painfully aware. And as I said, we are the indivisible line on the line between the old paradigm and the new paradigm. But speak to this, guys.
Okay, so yes and no. Biometrics definitely on any database system. Biometrics on a wallet is not on any database. That's basically just on your device itself. It's not going anywhere. So it's just in your possession. When it comes to Apple Pay and Google Pay, The transactions that is going through your virtual card that you are making is on a Hong Kong corporate. You are backing it with USDT. So you're basically paying USDT for a transaction for them to pay for it via your virtual card. This, however, is something that we are also, in fact, already busy working on. And in the near future, we'll even have better solutions coming up. But for now, this is as best as it gets. This is as sovereign as you're going to get. And physical cards will also be available from end of May. So that will basically replace the virtual cards as well.
Very good news. Thanks. Did you guys, anyone want to add to that at all, or did we cover that sufficiently, do you think?
No, that's covered.
Okay, very good. So Susan Terry, if that's the Susan Terry I know, that's a very, very clever lady asking the question. Where do we plug into to view our account? Is this solely online to also be accessible via banks worldwide?
Sure.
No, the wallet is a flash drive biometrics device, so like USB. So it's an offline device that runs only on this USB alone. So it's not visible online. It's not visible to any online services or any data online, because there is no data. There's not even a server for this wallet system. From in that sense, it doesn't exist. So no, it's completely offline. So there's no visibility online or via banks on the system whatsoever.
Just to add to that, the wallet is like Joe, you previously explained to me very well that this is not linking up to, like what you said, to a server. This is your own wallet that you've got in your hand. This is not linked up to a global wallet system. The software that's installed on this is solely for your transactions, for your kept of coin or whatever is on that wallet. This is not linked to the digital backend or anything like that.
No.
Okay, very good. So let me get back to the next comment. Forgive me, I'm doing a lot, guys. There's some sounds in the background there. You want to mute your mic if you're going to make noises. All right, next question is from Samantha. What happens if I lose the wallet? I guess I must buy another, right? Great question.
Yes, to be able to use the Ghost wallet, yes, but you do have a normal seed phrase with your wallet as well, so you can use it in another system afterwards for time being. But yeah, you're gonna have to unfortunately get a new wallet.
Okay, but
the information, the backup.
Yeah, mention the backup because that's the key.
Yeah, so yeah, there is a very safe and secure backup on this. In fact, we did a hackathon on online platforms like X, where we posted about 9 months ago on backup files with wallets with $1,000 in them. Challenged anyone to get into this files. The backups are in fact so safe that you can actually post it on any online platform. You can post it on any place, save it any place, Dropbox, Google Drive, doesn't matter, because that's where the biometrics actually function now comes in, because your biometrics is saved on your device and your face can import your backup on any new device.
Right.
And only your face.
Very good. Very, very good indeed. Okay. I think that answers that question to satisfaction. Next up, Anne Belanger, in order to add silver to our wallet, is it only a certificate? What about the physical silver? Another great question.
Okay, I'll touch base on that one. So the physical silver is definitely a commodity that we do bring on board and we tokenize it. So what we need is the certificate of authentication, certificate of ownership, and then also is it stored in a vault. So that vault certificate we also need, so that we can ensure that you don't get us to tokenize it and then you go off and sell it yourself and then you get double kickback on us, which is not really the good idea to do. So yeah, we definitely look at commodities, bringing it on board and tokenizing it.
Okay. Next question is, I'm just loving these. Give me 1 second. Will this protect us in S? Oh, so we've done that one, and we've done we've done Jenny. Shouldn't we be avoiding? We've done Susan Terry. I'm so sorry. I'm having a hard time toggling without my glasses on. How can we get in touch with one of you? How can we get in contact with one of you guys? Well, that's obvious. Go to newearthx.com and the contact points there in each of the sections, whether it's the exchange or the ghost wallet, whatever it is you're looking for. So no problem there. Next question from Robert Ford. Hi, all, still haven't received my wallet. Again, please understand something here. We have been subjected to some hiccups on the fulfillment and shipping. We expected that. That happens every time when we launched the 5G BioShield years ago. The problems we had there were huge, but they are surmountable and being handled. Joe, please speak to that.
Yes, so most of the bundles went out already. There is some that came back that we had to find different routes for. There's several reasons for this. From the obviously the logistics side of what we're using, Middle East excuses and Canadian air blocks excuses and so on. But we all know why this is actually happening. But we did find a different route. We did find a different way of getting them out there. Actually, most of them left today, and I think we are only having the latest orders of this week that's currently busy being packed and also going out on Monday.
Okay.
So,
okay, good, nice.
So to get down to all the shipments should be arriving within this upcoming week to everyone that didn't receive it.
Very good. Thanks, Joe. All right, next, are there any precautions being taken to keep bad actors from using the ghost wallet account for nefarious purposes or purchases, subjecting you to possible illegal transaction and liability? Speak to that.
Yes, okay. Very simple answer here. If I go to the local store that sells knives, it's up to me what I use that knife for, whether I cut my vegetables with it or I stab someone with it. We've created a product for the right use, and I've created it for sovereignty use, and we do not want any illegal use on the system, obviously. But unfortunately, the control only goes as far as up to the sale. How it's being used by users, unfortunately, cannot be controlled because of the privacy of this wallet.
Right. Very good. Well, that's.
I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
Sacha, can I add to that? Also, the digital currencies all over the world that can be used by bad guys anyway. So it can even be used by people that runs certain countries where they go and sell off a lot of coins, make the entire crypto industry fall, and then suddenly buy it at a low price again. So aren't they also then bad guys if they influence people like that?
Well, let's talk about BlackRock and that element.
I didn't want to say the name. Didn't want to say the name.
No, it's absolutely fine. I mean, I've met a senior brass at BlackRock in private clandestine meetings recently. Some very, very smart people in that institution. I can tell you, younger generations who are also looking to switch and change the game out. So I'm not spooked by that at all. But it was a good question. What if you can't access it anymore at some point? Your biometrics may change. There may be tech difficulties. You may have a thumb transplant. Is it possible to lose it?
Okay, so the losing part we already spoke about. The wallet has got a guarantee under it of 2 years. So if anything does actually physically go wrong with the internals of the device, we will then exchange it. That's why the moment you have set up your wallet, you do a backup, and that backup sits on your system, on your drive, wherever you've saved it. And at any given time, you can then obviously exchange it with a new wallet and pull it back in.
Very good.
Restore.
Okay, here's a baiting question. What do you mean by smart contracts, since that also stands for secret military arsenal residential technology? Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I can come up with that acronym, and I could come up with some very affirmative and beautiful Christed messages using that same acronym. So I don't tend not to play these word games beyond a certain point. I mean, I was the guy 5 years ago banging out COVID certification of vaccine identification 2019, and to some great extent that was also entirely appropriate. But that is the question coming forward. Smart contracts. I'll try and answer that question to the best of our ability, guys.
Yeah, so a smart contract is basically just a code that's run on the blockchain. So the blockchain handles that contract, meaning, for example, like we have on the exchange, that investments into tokens or projects is handled by the contract. We can't take the funds out of it until certain targets has been reached, in this case of projects. So it means that there's a smart contract that handles the transactions on the blockchain, and it's not human interceptable.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Is there any insurance?
That one's for Gideon, which seems like he's frozen. Insurance depends on what.
Sorry, Johan. He warned us that because he's on vacation right now, he warned us that he had a dodgy signal.
Yes.
Gideon, are you back with us, Gideon?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the question for you, is there any insurance?
Insurance into the NXE.
Ghost wallet.
Okay. If I look at the insurance on the assets side and the NXE side, yes, each and every asset that we do have on the system is insured. If it is the asset of a third party that wants to bring it onto the system, they need to have their own insurance in place. On the NXE coins, yes, there is assurance and insurance that we can give, because like what we said, this is real world asset backed, and there's no possibility of it just falling and dropping into like what it's done with Bitcoin and all of these other type of markets.
Very good. Thanks, Gideon. Okay. How simple is this wallet for a technologically challenged person like Sacha Stone?
Very easy. It's made in a layman's terms. It's made simple, so it's very easy to understand. I think it should take anyone a few minutes to catch on to it. We also do live support. We've got a technical team here that does the live support and setup with clients that struggles with it. So and do some explanation and guidance on it. So we're not leaving you in the dark.
Very good. Okay, next question. When the Clarity Act is passed, together with the Genius Act, will the Ghost Wallet be under these regulations? What happens if I do lose my crypto?
Again, that goes back to how private you are keeping it yourself. I mean, if you have a Ghost Wallet and that's between you and yourself, then nobody can touch it. Remember, this wallet's not online. It is not reported. It is not under anybody's knowledge. So nobody can freeze it. Nobody has access to it. No government has access to it. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we currently have, and why we have the problems we have with a lot of things. But in the end of the day, no, you are safe. Your crypto is safe in there, and that's the point of the wallet.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. All right. Here at my family. So this is being asked by my own family. How would it work with our New Earth investments? Would any personnel load it for us?
We can, yes, we would load that investment. So sorry, I also just had to read it for myself. We load all of those. We sit with you on the investment side, and we build up the white papers and the imagery that needs to be loaded onto the system, and then we load that onto the system with you.
There we go, Fred and Dini. You've got your last message that we exchanged is pinned to the top of my WhatsApp. So we have a call coming up this week. I was hoping to see you guys in Bacala this week, because I'm leading a retreat next week, but I don't think that's happening. Okay, next up, is this available to people all over the world, given local taxation and other financial jurisdictions? Can you access this from Chinese Communist China? Is, I guess, the question. Or
yes.
Moscow? Huh?
It is available everywhere.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. Next question. Is there any possibility that billionaires could buy in and somehow orchestrate a crash of the system? Great question.
No, not at all.
No.
Nodding head. Nodding in the correct way.
If a billionaire comes in and invests into the system, they invest into the asset. So one thing we need to remember on real world assetization is that the physical asset will always remain. Instead, if we sell it off, that is a sale that has occurred and it still remains within the NXE. Even if you come in with billions of dollars and you want to establish real world assets or commodities or anything, you can't crash it afterwards. It's not volatile. There's still a physical asset that remains. There's still people renting from it. There's still people buying from it. There's still people doing business. All of that feeds back into the NXE. So nobody can come in and just crash the system.
Right. Very good. Okie doke. So let me move on. So I'm looking at Fred and Dini again. So I hope we answered the Fred and Dini question correctly. So people who are already existing as part of our family of investors, yes, we're looking to back them into the NXE coin, and we're creating a mechanism for that. So the short answer is yes there. Alan and Alexis Neeson. So this is a system for people with money and not aimed at the little people who just want to have a home and daily living costs. It will not be for use as one's credit card. So it's a bit of a confused question there. I think I understand the gist of it, but yeah, please try and answer.
No, that's exactly it. It's this wallet and the system is for anyone out there. If you're talking about just daily living, that's why you get the Visa card with it. For the daily expenditures, to back it with USDT. In other words, you can pay crypto for your daily expenditure without having the hassle to on-ramp and off-ramp and transfer to accounts and do all of this and that. You've got your simple card, you go to the shop and buy what you need to buy on a daily basis, and it's backed by crypto.
We've also developed systems where even if you've got an asset, and a residential house, even with a home loan, is an asset. That home loan, we can assetize that or tokenize it, put it onto the system, and get an investment through that and pay you off at the bank. What we do then is you still pay your monthly returns on that investment, but it's into your own special purpose vehicle. So we're building something for you that can, at the end of the day, become a retirement package that you are built, that you've got. Then I've done this entire explanation of how when you're taking out a loan, you're paying a certain amount back in a certain time period. You are paying so much to the bank, and they're just taking that money, re-lending it to somebody else, and on that they are making millions and millions on the money that you are paying back on a loan of a small amount. But what we've developed as well is having these special purpose vehicles with assets in it that is even just a residential home, and assisting you that in 10 years time period, you can actually buy a second residential building as long as you contribute to the special purpose vehicle, which you own from the onset.
Right. And again, we've structured this in such a way that if you come in, understand how this is working, and you bring in 10, 20, 50, 100 people underneath you, which anyone can do and more, and everyone should be proselytizing this to their family, their friends, their communities, their universities, their football clubs, whatever, because you're literally doing your friends and family a favor. There is no pitch in this. There's no solicitation. There's no donation scenario. This is a win-win-win scenario unless you're a bankster. So you're literally doing your friends and family a huge service by promoting this forward, getting them in under you. You get 100 plus people under you, and you're set. You've essentially got a passive income there, and a considerable one as well. Obviously, the wealthier you are, and the wealthier the circle that you move in, and the bigger the transaction amounts taking place through our financial services system. If you've got super rich friends in Monte Carlo who are spending $50,000 a month on their credit cards, and believe me, millions of people do, then you'll be making a percent of all of those monumentally huge transactions as well. So it is still pegged to kind of wealth status, and the degree to how many people in your circle are spending how much money on their tap and pay every month. But the point being, it is limitless in the degree to which you can onboard people under you, whoever you are, and create a passive income. But it's not a parasite passive income like those other scenarios are, those other ghastly schemes. There is no parasite element in this one. So it's a win-win-win situation. Hola, amigos. Does tokenizing a property mean no taxes to Caesar? The property is still registered to your country's government.
So yes, it is still registered to that country's government. But if you've created the special purpose vehicle, and in each and every jurisdiction, we will have to look at those bylaws and jurisdictional laws. But with that, I know that within Mexico there was the issues where the government still holds the assets, but within the assets we tokenize. So there's always a process that we can work on and look at what is the best solutions for it.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. And we have another question here. Joe, this is one for you. I use auto pay for monthly bills with my bank. Can this be set up with Visa online?
No, not yet, but will be with the banking system.
Very good. So by midsummer, more or less going into Q3, the short answer is yes. Okay. And then this question here. Is there anything one needs to keep secret after purchasing via the link, like numbers, or is it just the card and thumb drive?
Well, there's nothing to keep secret. You just basically hold your wallet for yourself. I mean, it's not a matter of keeping secrets. It's a matter of you, after you've done your purchase, you receive your wallet and you act in your own sovereignty manner.
Okay, very good. The credit card is virtual. How does one use that? Again, and I forgive this question because, as I mentioned to the team last week, I had Scott McKay come out to Hollywood and join me for 3 days a couple of months ago when I was telling him about what we were going to be doing. And he's a very, very smart and savvy guy, but he's old school like me and like a lot of my network. And he said, it sounds all rather remarkable and very impressive, and scratched his head. And then we had a meeting then a few weeks later when I brought Scott in on a platform with the exchange team, and a lot of really intelligent questions were asked, and he kind of scratched his head. And then finally he got it. He was like, whoa, this is enormous. Michael Tellinger, the same thing. And Michael will be the first one to tell this, on when we do a show in the next couple of weeks. Michael Tellinger, as many of you know, the arch hero of a preacher against the Federal Reserve System. He was doing it 20 years ago, 15 years ago, behind the Ubuntu movement, behind One Small Town, super smart on all of this stuff. And again, first meeting with Mike, I brought him on with the whole team. I spent almost 2 hours on the line with him, and Mike was asking a lot of questions. It took 2 weeks. And he didn't phone me out of the blue. He said, call me back. And he said, did I just get it right? That what you're actually saying is that if I onboard 10,000 people in my movement, which is easy for him, and every one of them are tapping to pay using the One Small Town or the Ubuntu Visa or MasterCard rails connected to the Ghost Wallet or the app, are you saying that a micro dividend of every single transaction from those 10,000 people, every hour of every day, of every week, of every month, a micro dividend is going to be coming into the One Small Town treasury? I said, yes, Michael, you got it. That's how we build the treasuries to all of these movements, to our own communities, to our own personal Ghost Wallet. And still start with yourself. Build your own Ghost Wallet up. Every time you're tapping to pay for anything on earth, get a percentile back into your wallet. And then if you bring family, friends in, same deal. So it took a while for the penny to drop on this issue. But the short answer to that question is yes. So yeah, did you want to, there's another question here. Do you pay for the wallet with registration, or can you register an account without having to pay for the wallet up front? Open question.
You can register an account without paying for the wallet up front on ufx.com. In the profile section, you can actually get access to your whole profile there that shows the card capabilities and the affiliate system and all of that. So yes, you can actually get on board before paying for anything.
Okay, this is great. Guys, I think we're going to wind it up now. Christy, give me a thumbs up from the green room if that's correct. Good to wind up? Okay, great. Thank you. My boss just gave me the cue. So again, so grateful to you guys for what you've developed and what you're bringing to the world. I'm honored to be amongst the ranks and to do what I can to spread the gospel. And it is a gospel we're spreading. It really is. It's a living testament. It's a living testament to how humanity now are able to self-resurrect from this great sleep, right? And begin to reclaim autonomy, restore dignity, our capacity to move unmolested on the surface of the earth, transacting one to another as we enjoin the highest and the greatest technology in the temporal universe, which is the fellowship of man. Brothers Joe Swanee, Gideon van der Scaife, and Johan Komsa. Thank you. Love you guys. Get to bed.
Thank
It's
you.
late in Southern Africa.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye, bye, bye.
Okie dokie. Very good. Friends, I am moving to my notes here because that's what I have to do. And at the end of my notes, it says 2 to 2:15 Bacala Live bonus segment, Cosmic Intel. I'm wondering, is my hero here? He's arrived. Oh, this is so exciting for me. Okay, straight in, guys. Cosmic Intel, my bestie from this dimension and from multiple dimensions. Man who I miss whenever I don't see his face for longer than a few short days, but don't tell him that. We're living through a moment in history that astrologers say only comes around once in several lifetimes. A rare convergence of outer planet shifts that are rewriting the rules of technology, culture, politics, and consciousness. And our guest today has been tracking these cycles for decades and translating them into language we can all understand. Please welcome Rick Levine. Hey, brother.
Hey, man. Good to see you. Where are you on the planet these days?
I am in Babylon Central, Tulum, Mexico.
Cool.
Yeah, just arrived here. Actually, last night I came here in order to be able to do the broadcast because we were losing internet up there at the Bacala Laguna and the AC had broken down. And but here I am. As I was saying to the crew earlier, I had four blackouts last night. So I woke up this morning not knowing if I was going to be able to broadcast anyway, but here we are. Happy to see you. And it was so wonderful to spend time with you in Hollywood earlier this year and at the Conscious Life Expo. Yeah. So friends, Rick Levine, well known and loved to the Lazarus community, but is one of astrology's most respected voices. I would say astrology's most respected voice. A practicing astrologist, author, and researcher with over 400 years of experience. You can decimate that to 40 years of experience. Known for blending psychological depth with a gift for clear, accessible storytelling. And Rick reaches millions through his writing, his lectures, and his media work. He is a co-author of Your Personal Horoscope and a sought-after voice on planetary cycles and their impact on human consciousness. So these topics are deeply connected that we're going to be going into. Question one, Rick, status quo, here and now, the geometry of the living moment. Who are we? What are we? What are we looking at?
We're right on schedule. And although I have the outline of the schedule, I don't know what's exactly going to happen at any one of these points. But man, the things that have been unfolding so far this year, I think we were together back at the end of February. And so much has gone on since then and continues to, and it's just ramping up. You don't need me or any astrologer to tell you that. You already know.
You know, one of the biggest shifts that you've been talking about is Uranus moving into Gemini. So what does that mean? And why does it matter so much for how we experience time itself?
Well, let me back up a little bit. And for those who are listening who don't really know what modern astrology is really all about, we look at the slower moving planets. This is not the astrology of, am I going to get, laid today? Or is this a good day to, sell a house? The astrology that we're looking at here right now has to do with the slow-moving planets whose cycles are either a century long, or in the case of Pluto, it's 4 times a millennium. It's 250 years for one beat on the Pluto clock. 1 year on Pluto is 250 Earth years. And when these slow-moving planets make relationships with one another, like the moon makes a relationship with the sun once a month. That's a new moon. And that was the origin of our calendars. The idea of a month is really a moonth. So when the moon every 28, 29 days catches up to the sun, that's like one beat on that particular cycle. When we look at a planet like Uranus, which takes 84 years to make one revolution around the sun, that means it spends about 7 years in each of the 12 signs. 7 times 12 is 84. But it's more complicated than that, because all the other slower moving planets are all moving at their own rate. And so when Pluto, for example, catches up, or I'm sorry, when Uranus every 84 years goes around once, it then has to go around more to catch up to Pluto. And it's like a new moon, but instead of with the moon and the sun, it's with Uranus and Pluto. So here's the simple deal. The simple deal is that Pluto changes signs about every 15 to 35, 40 years because it's so elliptical in its orbit and it moves so slowly. Neptune changes signs about every 14 years. It's about a 165-year cycle. And Uranus changes signs about every 7 years. Well, it's very rare that all three of these planets, these are the three outermost planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, it's very rare when they all change signs within a short period of time. And it's even more rare when they do that, when they're making particular angles with each other that are geometrically significant. So what we have right now is Uranus, which has just last month moved into Gemini for a 7-year period, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But we also have Neptune that's just moved into Aries and Pluto that's moved into Aquarius. And the three of these outer planets that are all shifting gears together are changing the nature of what civilization is.
Amazing. Well, the obvious question from a personal standpoint, and take into account my own natal chart, am I going to get laid today, Rick?
Probably not.
That's a funny thing. Thank you. So you've spoken about AI, communication technology, and how we think and connect as being central to this Uranus in Gemini era, right, so to speak. How do you see these forces playing out?
Well, first of all, Uranus is the weird planet. It is the planet that broke the Saturnian mold. You know, for thousands of years, when we humans looked up at the skies, the slowest moving thing that they could see with the naked eye was Saturn, which was about a 30-year cycle. And it is the origin of our whole understanding of a generation. You know, the don't trust anyone over 30, passages, the idea that when you're about 29 or 30, that's really when we have to grow up. So Saturn is the limit of our perceivable universe. Saturn represents Satan on some level, meaning that it's the gates of Saturn that we have to come through in order to take this three-dimensional form. Anything outside of Saturn did not exist except to mystics. Now, however, with the advent of digital technology and the learning about these planets and all these things that are outside of our perceptions, you know, going back 100 years ago, if you couldn't, I have my fingers up and I'm counting to make sure I can do this. But if you couldn't perceive something through your 5 senses, through seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching, if you couldn't, it didn't exist.
Yeah, right.
And so when Uranus was discovered around the same time of the French Revolution and the American Revolution, in that era, when it was discovered, it blew people's brains apart, because there was something outside of Saturn, the end of the road. I always look at Saturn as the restaurant at the end of the edge of the universe. And all of a sudden, there's an entire other world out there. And of course, that's only exploded more and more and more and more. So here's the short version of this. Uranus is the planet of technology. It's the planet related to high frequency energetics that are outside of our range of understanding. Uranus is lightning striking. When that lightning strikes, that is a Uranian moment. When the quantum wave function pops from waveform into particle, that's a Uranian moment. When the light bulb goes off and we got, aha, I got it, that's a Uranian moment. And so when Uranus moves through each sign, culture takes on the clothing, if you will, of that particular sign. When Uranus for the last 7 years was in the sign of Taurus, those electric changes didn't come very easily because Taurus is such a grounded, Taurus is almost like granite. And, you know, and granite doesn't respond easily to change, but when it changes, you know, it's an earthquake or a life quake. Now, in Gemini, because the sign of Gemini is about communication, it's about words, it's about thoughts. Gemini as a sign is the twins representing, Gemini is simply Latin for twins. And Gemini represents the bipolar nature of reality, meaning that there's always a this and a that, a particle and a wave, a male and a female, an in and an out, a good and an evil. And so Gemini is this dance that we do in our brain that goes back and forth between opposites. And when Uranus hits Gemini, the electrification of the thought sphere kind of just goes wild. And this is the first time that Uranus has entered Gemini in a world where we have such a pre-electrification digital world set up. And so we've never been here. This is just one of many things, but this makes the Uranus into Gemini like a whole new ball game. The other thing about Uranus moving into Gemini is that every time Uranus moved into Gemini, the United States went to war. Now, I know that there are those people who would say, and I would agree with them, that there's really never been a time when the United States hasn't been at war. However, Uranus was in Gemini during the American Revolution. It was in Gemini again 84 years later at the Civil War. It was in Gemini again at World War II. And now it's just moved into Gemini again. And, you know, regardless of where this thing goes, we're obviously kind of either, you know, at war or at the edge of war or in a world war or in an information war, which is really where I think this ultimately is going. I think that what we're seeing on the physical realms is almost like an artifact or a byproduct. And I'm not minimizing any human collateral in any situation for anything. However, the real battle here is who gets to control what we call real, because we're coming off of another very rare astrological moment, a moment where you and I were together back on February 20th at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. And that day was a day when Saturn, that planet of reality, lined up with Neptune, the planet of dreams, of illusions, of fantasy. And every 36 years, Saturn and Neptune line up and myths fall away. Dreams get broken. And I don't mean like a dream of I want to do this when I grow up. I mean cultural dreams, like the Russian Revolution, like the Bolshevik Revolution, like in 1953 with the craziness in not only in Iran, but at the CIA with MK Ultra. And we could track this back, the history of Knights Templar, the history of all these things that were dreams built on something that then were kind of fell apart. And one of the things that's happening right now in the world is that we are realizing, and when I say we, I don't mean just you and your craziness and me and my craziness. I mean, everyone in the world is experiencing some form of what they thought was real isn't real. Or let me put it a different way. Those things that they knew were crazy are all of a sudden real. And so And this happens every 36 years. However, this time, this alignment of Saturn and Neptune occurred at a point in astrology that's referred to as the world point. It's the moment of the relationship between the Earth and the Sun on the first moment of spring. It's the beginning of the zodiac. It's 0 degrees of Aries. The last time there was a Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the most procreative point in the 360-degree zodiac. The last time that occurred was in 4300 BC, about 6,000 years ago, which is a quarter of a precession cycle. And that is history right now. But every time these two planets, Saturn and Neptune, align, it takes years, if not a decade or so, for us to recreate whatever the new dreams are that have basically come into existence because the old ones are decaying or have fallen away.
Very good. So you've used the word metamorphosis and even compared this period that we're going through to the Neolithic revolution. So that's a very bold claim. But what makes you say that? You kind of explained halfway why. But what does it feel like to live through a transformation that big, I guess is the
Well, two things. Number one, I make a bold claim because when I get excited, I get bold. But more relevant is the fact that it's not just the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries, which happened last about 200 years ago. It's not just the Uranus moving into Gemini, as it does every 84 years. But as Uranus is moving into Gemini, it's making a harmonious 1/3 of a circle. 1/3 of a circle creates an equilateral triangle. And anyone who has studied energetics, anyone who has read their Buckminster Fuller, I know Dan Winters is a regular guest of yours, and he probably could wax endlessly about the importance of the 120-degree angle, because it is the singularly most stable angle in nature. And so when Uranus right now is just moved from Taurus into Gemini, it's making a 120-degree angle with Pluto, which made its transition from Capricorn into Aquarius 1/3 of a circle away a couple of years ago. And so Pluto is the planet related to metamorphosis. It's not just the change, like leaves changing their color every year, falling off the tree and then recreating. It's more like the evolutionary transmutation or transformation of like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Pluto requires a death and rebirth process. And if you know your Greek mythology or your Roman mythology, Pluto is Latin for Hades, which is Greek for hell. And of course, here we have to make what I like to call my brief Christian disclaimer. Not that I'm disclaiming Christianity, but I am disclaiming their understanding of hell, because they put this aberrated view of hell as a place where you go when you've sinned and you get punished. And all the other world traditions know that the underworld or the underworlds are places of magic. That's where rebirth happens. That's where the cool kids hang out, and that's where the amazing shit occurs. And so what happens though when Pluto is involved, there is always this death and rebirth experience. Now Pluto takes about 250 years, 248 years to make one complete circle around the sun. And in fact, it was, anyone could do their math, it was 250 years ago, 248 years ago, when the United States was born. The United States is having its first Pluto birthday. Right. Hello, death and rebirth. Yeah. So that's just a whole separate piece, because what I'm suggesting is that astrologically right now, we are in the middle of a coalescence or of a joining, I was looking for, a confluence of the Mississippi River, the Amazon, the Nile, and the Ganges, that because each one of these things is a mighty force unto itself. Pluto moving back into Aquarius for the first time since the American judicial system and the American Congress was set into motion. Pluto, it will be in Aquarius for about 20 years. But here's the interesting thing, because in astrology, every planet connects to a sign, every sign connects to a planet. Uranus connects to Aquarius. Pluto just moved into Aquarius. Actually, it tipped into Aquarius in March of 2023 within a week, actually within 2 days of ChatGPT being unleashed to the public. Wow. This was like an opening volley to the next couple of decades as Pluto creates a metamorphosis of all interhuman, no, what's the word I'm looking for? All community, interpersonal communication, intercommunity communication, the entire global network of human thought, what I like to call the thought-osphere, what Pierre Teilhard de Chardin called the noosphere, what some people call the World Wide Web or the artificial intelligence network. This is all right now popped into being. And as a species, to quote Marshall McLuhan, we've flipped out. We used to have nervous systems inside our bodies, and now we have, like a crab flipped out and has an exoskeleton. We now are humans that live inside of an exo-nervous system. And so you add that to the list of all these crazy things, and that Uranus, the planet of lightning, sudden change, of surprises, of shock, of awe, is making this harmonious trine with Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, evolution, and metamorphosis. And then you throw that Neptune into the middle of the mix, and it's exactly at the halfway point. So that Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus actually make 3 adjacent points on a 6-pointed star, which is Solomon's seal, or the Star of David, if you want to call it that. But it's again a geometric pattern. And as astrologers, we're just looking for geometric resonance. And right now we're getting this absolutely full time. And in fact, by July of this summer, Jupiter, which is fairly slow moving, it takes 12 years to go around once. It spends a full year in each sign. And by July, Jupiter will pull into the 4th point on the 6-pointed star, making something that with whatever computer programs any of us astrologers have, we can't find that this has ever happened before. And one of the things that we as astrologers do really well is we look for repetitive cycles, and we make forecasts like a weatherman makes a forecast. If this pattern happens and then this happens and then this happens, well, I can predict that, or I can forecast that there's a good chance that we'll get rain. And with this one, anyone who's forecasting anything shouldn't, because no one can find a moment in history when this confluence has ever occurred before.
Very good. Very good. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. So and that actually leads on to my next question, which was, you're not a self-help guru, but you are a self-help guru in a way, because the work that you do, I think, certainly for the individuals that you that consult with you from all around the world, you help to contextualize arguably the most horrendous elements in people's lives. Could be the loss of the beloved, these awful transitional periods where people feel that they are falling apart, losing it. And I know that my own resurrection from the deep, Rick, led me in a sense to you through Melanie Reinhardt. She was the first person when I lost my mind in 1997, and was kind of staggering around on the floor on all fours for a while, because I had a complete breakdown, and I was just muttering Z = Z squared plus C. I just had this complete moment where I'd gone off world for a couple of weeks. I've never chewed any mushrooms or anything, but I had a moment that really threw me into the fractal universe, and I got spat back, and a bunch of healers were called in, what have you. And curiously enough, it was when my manager dragged me to meet with Melanie Reinhardt, and she spoke to me, did my chart, and then she said, what did you see like on the dark side when you were in that space? And I just mentioned the Z = Z squared plus C, which happens to be the equation that describes Mandelbrottian mathematics, which is the fractal universe, because that's what I came back from in my death and rebirth. And Melanie said, well, fuck me. She said in the 70s, I think it was Stellenbosch, university, wherever she went to. She said she was part of a controlled experiment of students that went into took as many hallucinogenics as they could take without dying, basically, and went into a padded room with large felt-tipped, non-toxic pens and papered walls in a cushioned room for a week or whatever it was, and thrown cinnamon buns to eat and water. And they literally tripped this group of students on this controlled experiment as far as you could go. And what they came up with at the end of that experiment was Z equals Z squared plus C scrawled on the walls of that lab. So phenomenal stuff. That was the intersect point with me in astrology. Before that, and Melanie Reinhardt, who's a kind of a colleague of yours and a huge admirer of yours. But I know that intersect with Melanie back in the day was the point of redemption for me, and me understanding that I'm not fucking mad. That actually astrology was actually able to help map my insanity and help walk me back onto dry land. Speak to that.
Well, here's the thing about astrology, and that is that it is one tool. It's certainly not the only tool. It is a tool that can help us become aware of, that can widen our perception so that we can become aware of things that were outside of our realm of perception. And so when we open our intellectual and or sensorial visors and begin to see or connect with cycles aside from the diurnal cycle of day and night, or the seasonal or yearly cycles that we can experience directly, we don't experience Uranus transits directly. But when you start mapping these in individual lives and see the connection between the changes and the upheaval and the growth spurts and the important intersections in our lives that are connected with these outer rhythms, it can help one. It doesn't cure madness, but what it does is it makes us understand that we are actually a part of the cosmos, of the universe. We can't be outside of it because it is inside and outside of us, because as the ancients knew, there is no difference between the outside and the inside. One is not a reflection of the other. They're the same fucking thing.
Beautiful, beautifully stated. Okay, so in wrapping this, for people who are feeling disoriented and do feel on so many levels that we've arrived at sort of psycho-civilizational calamity, and there's a kind of breakdown of the fabric of false light reality, which hitherto served us as kind of reality, but we now realize was fucking not. And we know a lot of people are popping, a lot of people are dying, a lot of people have, the kind of witchery also has dialed up to sort of epochal levels of intervention, geoengineering and bioengineering and trans this and trans that. So there's a myriad of reasons why any judicious, righteous human being would feel as though we were under siege on all fronts. So baseline, from your perspective and vantage point as being Merlin the Wizard, what's the most helpful way to navigate this period of end of time in simplest?
Keep breathing and putting one foot in front of the other. No, I mean, that is true, and that's a little bit flippant. But I have to think at times like this, I mean, other animals, other civilizations have gone to points where there is major crisis. Sometimes in an individual life, we don't make it through a crisis, and it's the end of being an inhabitant of the meat body that we are in while we're here. Civilizations do the same thing. For all we know, planets do the same thing. But the bottom line is that when we're in those states of heightened change, of plutonic metamorphosis, where we're no longer a caterpillar and we're not yet a butterfly, and it's just like we feel like we're dying because our skin is melted, our eyeballs have turned to goo, and we have no sense of what we were that is still alive. And yet we may have an inkling that there's something else, but there's no way to get a message into the cocoon to the caterpillar to say, hey, it's okay. You're riding a 2 billion year old wave and you're surfing it and you're not really dead. And but that's really what this is all about. Is like we are in a childbirthing crisis right now. Civilization is going contractual in the third bardo through the birth canal, and it's getting very tight and it's hard to breathe, and we don't know if we're going to make it. And so what do? We breathe, and we be aware that I can't give you any water if you need water unless I have water. And that's a metaphor for a lot wider things than just water. And it's not selfish to basically do what we need to do to survive. However, at the same time, I know, I'm sure you know, many people who are just saying, I'm checking out. It's too complicated. I'm overwhelmed. There's no way out of this. I'm going to just go home and put my head under the pillow. I'm turning off the news. I've had enough of it. I can't believe any of it. It's all crap. This is crap. I believed in that. That's crap too. Now this, and there are a lot of people who are at that point, and that's not healthy either, because by going into denial, we lose our agency, we lose our sovereignty, we lose our ability to interact with what the truth is out there. And here's the underlying rule, if there is one, with Pluto. And that is, if you don't know about it, if you can't see it, and if you can't make it in conscious, you have no chance of dealing with it. Just because you can see it doesn't mean you can master it. But if you can't see it, you have no chance of mastering it. And so from that standpoint, I think it's really important that we all drop whatever certainties we thought we had, whether they're biological, whether they're relationship, whether they're political, whether they're religious, whether they're whatever they are. We all have things that we absolutely know are true. They may not be. And we just have to be open to doing this, to coming out of this little, almost like Plato's cave. William Blake wrote, if the doors of perception were cleansed, meaning our sense organs, then everything would appear as it is, infinite and holy, whereas now it appears as finite and corrupt. And so it becomes part of each of our responsibility to practice in whatever way we might be able to, whether it's diet, meditation, running, singing songs, being with community, study, whatever it is, to open our senses, to widen our sense of perspective. And astrology is one of those ways in which we can do that. But not everyone needs to be an astrologer, just like not everyone needs to be any one thing. But we all need to be aware. Nothing changes unless awareness changes.
Very good. Well, on the subject of going or being in denial, let me segue into the upcoming Nile cruise. Yes, with a friend of yours, Dr. Susan Chomsky. Hi, Susan.
Well, hello, Susan.
No, you need to unmute your microphone.
Yes, I was muted.
Very good.
Hi, Susan. And I owe you an email, and the answer is yes.
Oh, good. Great.
We're getting married, guys. This is fantastic. It's a world first. The answer is yes. Susan, good to see you.
Now, huh?
Right. Thanks for joining us, Susan, here. And friends, we've got an upcoming. I just wanted Rick to say hi to Susan. Sorry, Rick, I don't mean to drag you into promoting my upcoming cruise. Much as I would love to be doing one with you, I don't think that our calendars are coinciding.
No, they're not. But having just gotten off of one of Susan's cruises, all I can do is say that if you have a chance, if you can open up your calendar, do it, because it was a fantastic experience.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you, Rick.
Rick. And Rick, brother, thank you so much. You're more than welcome to stay on, but I'm just going to do a little brief pop on our upcoming cruise with Susan, and then hand the reins back to Christy for the next segment. But Rick Levine, thank you so very much for the cosmic update today.
I'm slipping off into the cosmos.
All right, love you, brother. Thank you. Hey, Susan, good to see you. So we've got a countdown happening here, friends, and that is connected to our mythic odyssey, which obviously we have had to amend somewhat. As some of you know, earlier in the year we were talking up doing Baalbek in Lebanon and Wadi Rum and Petra in Jordan, and of course the Holy Land, Jerusalem element of the Holy Land. We have necessarily changed the shape of the upcoming mythic odyssey, and we're going to be emphasizing Egypt and Sinai, the banks of the Red Sea. We are going to be doing the full Nile cruise. Susan's going to walk us through the full itinerary in a moment, but we're going to go to ground zero of the Holy Land as I regard it, and certainly in my life experience, the most magical time I think I ever had was going through the Sinai desert to the banks of the Red Sea and staying with the Bedouin there. Just the most life-changing and extraordinary part of the world. Completely, biblical, absolutely biblical, unchanged for tens of thousands of years. When you move through the Sinai to the foot of St. Catherine's Mount Sinai, which is where Moses descended with the tablets, there is extraordinary stories there that I will be speaking to on the retreat, connected to just stories that have never been disclosed that I'm privy to, and I'm going to be able to do full disclosure with anyone joining us on this mythic odyssey. So in simple terms, I hope this graphic is more or less accurate. It's the mythic odyssey of the Nile and the Holy Land. Again, miss Lebanon, Jordan, and Jerusalem. We are focusing on Egypt and Sinai this year, and then arguably beyond this year, we will resurrect Lebanon, Jordan, and Jerusalem. But please speak to the itinerary as it stands, Susan. Thank you.
Yes, well, we're starting in Cairo. And of course, when you're in Cairo, you are at the Giza Plateau. So we have the Great Pyramid there. We'll be going inside the pyramid to the King's Chamber. And we will also be visiting the Valley Temple that is on Giza Plateau and the Sphinx. And then we will be visiting the Grand Egyptian Museum, which just opened in November. And that's going to be an amazing experience because King Tut's, all the artifacts of King Tut's tomb are in there. And so many amazing, amazing artifacts are in that museum. It's a huge, fantastic museum, really unparalleled throughout the world. So that's what we'll be doing in Cairo. And then we'll go up to Saqqara and Dashur. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but that's where we see the Step Pyramid complex. And we see the Red Pyramid, the Bent Pyramid, and that's an extraordinary experience, is to go to the Step Pyramid. And these are some of the oldest pyramids in the entire planet. Then we will be going on to the Valley of the Kings in Luxor. And that's one of the most famous archaeological sites in Egypt. And it is the royal burial ground of the pharaohs of the New Kingdom. And when you go into that Valley of the Kings, you're going to see extraordinary frescoes, very colorful, but it's just the majesty of that place. That's where King Tut's artifacts were found, was in the Valley of the Kings. And then we'll go on to Hatshepsut Temple, which is the stunning mortuary temple built for Queen Hatshepsut, who is one of the very few female pharaohs of Egypt. But then we're going to get on to the Nile cruise. We're going on a 5-star cruise on the Blue Shadow. It's called Blue Shadow is the cruise. And a beautiful cruise ship. And, you know, I've been to all these places, And I have to say that the Nile cruise is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had, simply because it's so peaceful, it's so relaxing, and you feel like you're going back in time to the great times of the pharaohs, and you're just traveling on this beautiful, calm, peaceful water, and you just feel like you're cruising back many, many centuries. So it's an amazing experience. So every day that we're on the cruise, we're going to spend the daytime seeing the various temples along the way, starting with Luxor Temple. And that was built mainly by Amenhotep and Ramses II, and is dedicated to the god Amun. And then we get back to the cruise, and the next step is Karnak. In Karnak, it's one of the largest temple complexes in the world. It was built over 2,000 years ago and dedicated mainly to the god Amun. We're going to have a private visit in Karnak to the Sekhmet, to one of the many Sekhmet altars, shall we say, or caves, where there's a statue of Sekhmet, and she is she's a goddess of war, but also the goddess of healing. And it is said that if you pray to Sekhmet, that your wishes will come true. So I had an amazing experience when I visited Sekhmet last time I was in Luxor. Just the vibration there and the lifting of consciousness that I experienced was extraordinary. And then after our visit with Sekhmet, we will visit the Open Air Museum of Karnak and the Chapel of Seven Gates. Back to the cruise then, and then we sail to Edfu. We go to the Edfu Temple and Kamambo Temple, and that's dedicated to Horus, the falcon god. And probably you've seen the Eye of Horus, and you might know the story about Horus, and you know that it's about the third eye. Yep. So going to that temple should be an amazing experience for all of us. Then we sail to Aswan, and we go to Philae. And Philae is where it's where you find the Isis temple. And of course, Isis is one of the most spiritually charged, shall we say, deities of ancient Egypt. We'll drive to the unfinished obelisk, and we will go to the Elephantine Island, where we will explore the Elephantine Island, which is a magical and historic gem, rich with ancient ruins, Nubian culture, breathtaking views of the Nile, where history and beauty come together in perfect harmony. It's a very peaceful, amazing place. I suggest strongly that we do a wonderful meditation there and experience the feminine energies of Philae Temple. Then we will fly to Cairo and then on to Sharm el-Sheikh, and we will go to a Bedouin camp where we will stay overnight in huts, Bedouin huts. And then the next day we will visit the monastery of St. Catherine and take a walk. I wouldn't say that it's a strenuous hike, but we'll take a walk according to, really the fitness of the people who come as to how much we'll be walking, but we will go up on Mount Sinai. So that will be the culmination, the shall we say, the end point of the cruise will be this amazing trip to Sinai.
Beautiful. Okay, I want to just share my screen. I was just knocking together whilst you were talking, Susan. I was just resurrecting some images from our last tour. So let me just go to this here. Christy, can we see this? There we go. Add to stage. Yeah. Let me see if I can do that from here. That was our last tour that Susan and I did with there's Scott McKay and Dave Emery, of course. Margot Anand joined us as well. What an incredible time that was. And Susan, as ever, I've just been so damn busy, especially with leading up to the launch of the New Earth Exchange and the banking system, all the stuff we're now unveiling. I've not had the chance to edit the filming stuff I did along the way on that incredible tour. But we have such fun when we do these tour retreats, because we go into the archaeocosmology stuff, and I work a lot with the AI engine to create the imagery and look at the historical analytics as well. Obviously, we're not paying too much attention to informed history. It's more about the real history, what lies beneath, what is the real import of these sacred sites, these extraordinary vector points on the planet where the heavens have met with the earth in times gone past. What is the meaning of Giza? What is the meaning of these extraordinary places? What is the relationship and interrelationship with ancient Tartaria, with ancient Atlantis and Lemuria? All of these questions are brought forward. And then we also get to look at local stuff. Like in this particular instance, I can't remember what this was, but I think that was something like a $500,000 carpet there. We went in to see what wasn't that incredible. It was like in Turkey, yeah.
In Turkey,
yeah. There's Margot Anand doing a tantric rite with a $1 million carpet. That was so funny. That was hilarious. Yeah. In any event, these are on my desktop, so I just aggregated them. There's Dave. Of course, that was, speaking of obelisks, was that Ephesus there?
Oh, that was the Temple of Artemis.
I'm sorry, Temple of Artemis, correct.
And the Temple of Artemis is near Ephesus. So yes, you're right.
Right. Okay, gotcha. But this was just spectacular. Oh my Lord. But similarly, in November, Susan and I are taking folks on an extraordinary journey. So to do with ancient history, to do with ancient futures, talking about the hard science and the hard technology also of sacred sites, what they mean, what they represent to us, and why they are such an important aspect now of resurrection, of the revelation. So essentially, to me, where are we? Why have we disappeared? There we go. So to me, greatly looking forward to this one in November, Susan, and thank you. I think what we'll naturally do next month in March, May, is we will do a short film about the mythic odyssey in the Nile and the Holy Land, just to make it more explicit and try and onboard as many people onto this extraordinary journey as possible. But Susan, anything else that we should be speaking to?
Well, yeah, space is very limited on this because these ships that sail on the Nile are small. Yeah. So space is extremely limited. We suggest that it's a good idea to register immediately, if not sooner.
Yeah.
And the address to go to is kind of strange because it speaks to our previous itinerary, but it's Nile to Nazareth.com. We're not going to Nazareth, but you can get to the website, Nile to Nazareth.com.
Very good. And so what we've essentially done whilst this conflagration in the Middle East and Iran and what have you, whilst that plays out, which one imagines, and certainly I do imagine, that it will be a very Pacific part of the world in a year from now. I don't believe this is likely to continue, but let's see. And we're watching that very closely. And so what we're doing is essentially breaking up this whole Holy Land piece into two parts. So this year we'll do part one, which is Egypt, Sinai, to the banks of the Red Sea. And then the next one we do, we'll take it from the other banks of the Red Sea and Aqaba on the other side in Jordan through Wadi Rum, Petra, and Baalbek, Lebanon, Jerusalem. And we'll pick up that as a separate tour. But Susan, thank you for joining us on Lazarus today. And I can't wait to see you later this year.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Great stuff. All right, friends, that's me. I'm going to be watching the rest of the segments here, and I might jump in here or there. Christy, thank you for facilitating today. And by all means, start the next segment. Lazarus, the shift is here. What's moving beneath and rising now with a guest we've had on before, and I've greatly welcomed the opportunity of speaking to her in greater length. And today is that day. Jenny Lee of jennyssight.net is a multidimensional seer and medium who has been working with intuitive perception from an early age, and she specializes in identifying energetic and spiritual influences affecting individuals and environments, and in clearing and restoring energetic balance. Her work includes spirit communication, intuitive analysis, and remote viewing